Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Yekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajananaha Pakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Sativarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye Yasyaddvaradavakpradhyaha Parishadhyaha Parastatam Vignam Nighanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamastraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. With Bhagavan's grace, let us continue. We came up to slokam number 8. And now slokam number 9, we will take up. Yat tejasa nirpasiraha anghrim ahan maka artham aryoho anujaha tava gaja ayuta sat viryaha Tena avrutaha pramatanata makaya bhupaha yat mochitaha tat anayan balim advarete. The next few slokams are going to be long ones, maybe next to 15 or 20 slokams. So I will go slowly and also share some of the stories associated with that so you can appreciate, otherwise you could miss if I just give you word by word meaning. Okay, but it will not be a pravachanam, it will not be a detailed description of the various stories, just a brief one. Okay. Yat tejasa nrupasiraha anghrim ahan maka artham aryoho anujaha tava gaja ayuta sattva viryaha tena akrutaha pramatanatha makaya bhupaha yat mochitaha Tat anayan balim advarete. Balim advarete we saw in the previous one also. Okay. Now, yat tejasa, under whose grace and compassion and prowess and protection, the Bhagavan's effulgence. What does Bhagavan's effulgence mean? Nothing but effulgence of prema. Nothing but effulgence of selfless love. In fact, Bhagavan himself says, I do not have any weapon. I have nothing. The only thing I have is love, prema. And prema is the most powerful entity there is. Love is the most powerful entity. There is nothing that is more powerful than that. So Tejasa, when we talk about, when that Bhagavan's love shines, and it shines in many ways. It shines as compassion, it shines as grace, as anukampai, as Megamada Desikan says in talking about the daya of Balaji, where Srinivasa Perumal in Tirumalai. So many words we use, or Vatsalam, and so many forms it appears, but fundamentally it is selfless love. So that Yat Tejasa, under whose grace, under whose protection, Nrupa Siraha Anghrim Ahan Maka artham aryoho anujaha tava gaja ayuta sattaviryaha. Nrupasiraha, the king of kings. He was Jarasandha. And what did he do? He in Maka means sacrifice. Okay, great ritual, sacrificial ritual. Maka artham, for the purpose sacrifice, and he had Angrim Ahan Aryoho is Gaja Ayuta, is the equivalent to 10,000 elephant strength that he had. Okay, and he brought in various Aryoho, very respectable kings. Ahan, he killed them. In order to kill them, he brought them for sacrifice, for the great sacrifice he was performing, and Angrim, to make them fall at his feet. So he conquered them. He was so powerful, equivalent to 10,000, strength of 10,000 elephants, and he was ruling in a cruel way. Both Shishupala and Jarasandha are the two equivalents, in Krishna Avataram. Similar to Rama Avataram, we have Ravanan and Kumbhakarnan. And prior to that, we have Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha, right? So now, in Krishna Avataram, it is Shisubalan and Jarasandha. Now, this person, Gaja Ayutha, with 10,000 elephant strength, and he brought Sattvaviryaha Aryoho, or Satyaviryaha, you can also keep it with Tava Anujaha. So Aryoho, the various respectable, highly regarded various kings, in order to kill them as a sacrifice, Maka Artham, the sacrifice that he was performing, Angrim, he basically bound them, he imprisoned them, and brought them. Tava Anujaha, your younger brother, this is Bhimasena, Tena Ahrutaha, Tena, Tena Ahrutaha, O Prathamanatha, the first among the kings is addressing Yudhishthira. So, Tena Ahrutaha Makaya Bhupaha. Okay, that also goes with Jarasandha. And it talks about Tena, by him, by Jarasandha. Ahrutaha collected and brought, okay, Makaya Bhupaha, to the ground where the sacrifice was being performed. So Jarasandha went and, being so powerful, conquered and imprisoned and brought many other kings who were all Sattvaviryaha. They were all very good warriors by themselves. Now, Tava Anujaha, your younger brother, Tena, okay, Tena Ahrutaha, okay, Yat Mochitaha, and Yat Tejasa, Tava Anujaha, Yat Mochitaha. Then if you read it like that, you will understand it in English. Under whose compassion and grace your younger brother Bhimasena, by whom these kings were Mochitaha, they were released. Bhima fought against Jarasandha and conquered and killed him and released all those kings who had been imprisoned and to be offered as sacrificial offerings into the big sacrifice that he was performing. Under whose grace did Bhima do this? It is Krishna's grace. Yat Tejasa Ravanujaha Mochitaha. He released them. Tat, those kings who were released, Anayan, they all assembled and brought together Te Balim Advare. To you, they brought presentation. Presentations mean not just gifts. They were worshipful, reverential offerings of gratitude. They brought to you. Under whose grace did this take place? Under whose protection? Under whose love, selfless love and guidance this took place? That your brother Bhimasena was able to achieve this. It was Krishna. Yat Tejasa Nrupasiraha Angrim Ahan Maka Artam Aryoho Anujaha Tava Gaja Ayuta Sattvaviryaha Tena Ahrutaha Pramasanata Makaya Bhupaha Yat Mochitaha Tat Anayan Balim Advarete. Anayan means brought, they brought. Number 10. Patnyaha Tava Adi Maka. The word Maka comes again. That means it's that sacrifice we're talking of. Okay. Patnyaha Tava Adhimaka Klipta Maha Abhisheka Sladhishta Charu Kabharam Kitavaihi Sabhayam Vrishtam Vikirya Padayoho Patita Asru Mukhya Yaha Tat Striyaha Akruta Hata Isa Vimukta Kesaha. Now he describes what happened to Draupadi was not humiliated. Please understand that. It was not humiliation for Draupadi, it was humiliation for the Kauravas. The drama was enacted by Bhagavan to show the strength of devotion, bhakti. Bhakti, Bhagavan and Bhakta are not different. The efficacy of that love for God and love of God has to be illustrated. Otherwise, dumb wits like us can never even begin to appreciate it. So Bhagavan staged that drama. Even now when we think of that, what happened in that palace hall and the Kauravas, Dusasana dragging Draupadi in there, what do we really, really feel? Not even an iota of shame, not even an iota of humiliation or disreputation has been cast on Draupadi. Instead, we immediately think of Bhagavan's grace, that unending flow of saris, that finally Dusasana was so tired he fell down ashamed. And then the Sabadam, the vow comes after that, right? That is how we remember that. So that's the story now. That's the narration that Arjuna is doing now. Patnyaha tava adhimaka klupta maha abhisheka sladhishta charu kabharam kitavaihi sabhayam prishtam vikirya padayoho patita asru mukhya yaha tatu striyaha akruta hata isa vimukta kesaha. I'm going to give you word by word meaning on this in the order it is given. And then we can rearrange it, our sentences and words in English. Then you will understand it very well. Patnyaha, tava patnyaha, your wife. Adhimaka. In the Adhimaka, Maka we saw is sacrifice. Adhimaka is a great sacrifice. What is the great sacrifice that Yudhishthira did? Was Rajasuya Yagam. That is where the jealousy of the Kauravas and all that became even multiplied. That during that Rajasuya Yagam that was celebrated in such grand splendor, Adhimaka, Klupta, dressed, that means dressed, Maha Abhisheka, that means Abhishekam means we need to think of performing Thirumanjaram for Bhagavan, pouring water and ghee and milk and honey and everything else. So that is okay. But Abhishekam actually means sanctifying. Okay. And Mahabhishekam means even great sanctification that took place in that great sacrifice of Rajasuya Yagam. And your wives who are all dressed correspondingly according to the occasion, and Sladhishta, and that when you go to a yajna and participate in that, or Maharudra Yajnam or whatever, Atirudra Yajnam, whatever we are all fortunate to participate in, you will feel sanctified in a glorious way. It is not a glory that the world confers on you. It's not a title that another human being gives you. It is a glorious feeling of being in the company of Bhagavan himself, in divinity itself. That Sladhishta means after being Mahabhisheka, being sanctified in that Rajasuya Yagam, Sladhishta, they felt glorified in the company of in the proximity of divinity. That's how beautiful that the Adhimaka was, the great Rajasuya Yagam was. So Charu, they were beautiful. Avaram, their hair were all nicely clustered and assembled together so beautifully, and their hair was all sanctified in the sacred smoke that is coming out of the yajna fire, the Agni. Please remember that. That is what this means. Kabaram, clustered hair. Mahabhisheka, Sladhishta. They clustered hair all. They were sanctified and became glorious because of the various mantras that have been uttered. And that sanctified and glorious hair of your wife. Hitavaihi, villains, cruel people, Sabhayam, in that palace hall of the Kauravas, Prishtham, that cruel villain, he touched it with his hand. He caught hold of it with his hand, Prishtham. And not only that, Vikirya, he then loosened that hair of your wife. As a result, what did our wife do? Padayoho, she fell on her feet, on the ground. Patita asru mukhyaha. Tears were streaming down from her eyes. Unstoppable. Unstoppable. Tears. At that time, Yaha, under whose grace, and who did it? Who? Tat Striyaha. Tat Striyaha. Very important. The wives of those villains, Akrita, they became Hata Isa. They lost their husbands. Who made it happen? Yaha Akrita Tatriyaha Hata Isa. That is Krishna. And how did he make them lose their husbands? And therefore, Tatriyaha Vimukta Kesaha. They lost their hair. Under whose grace it took place? At Krishna. He was the one who was protecting us. Patnyaha tava adhimaka klupta maha abhisheka swadhishta charu kavaram kitavaihi sabhayam. Sprishtam vikirya padayoho patita asru mukhya yaha tatriyaha akrita hata isa vimukta kesaha. Now, number 11. Number 11 talks about the story of Durvasa, how he goes to the forest, right? That story is being told here. Durvasa is sent on a stratagem designed by Duryodhana. And when Duryodhana requests him most humbly, in a feigned manner, and says, you must visit where Yudhishthira is in the forest and take his hospitality also. Durvasa was no fool. He laughed out aloud when Duryodhana made that request to him. Because Duryodhana was behaving in a sycophantic manner. He was a sycophant. He was talking very politely, but Durvasa could read through. He knew exactly the stratagem of Duryodhana. But he consented to play his role in the drama because he knew, again, an illustration, a manifestation of Bhakti, Bhakta and Bhagavan. All are one and the same. And when that Bhakti manifests itself, even today, when we hear the story and relive that what happened there, what happens to our mind, what happens to our heart, we get goosebumps. We immediately mind turns to the lotus feet. That is the power of these Bhagavata Puranic narrations of what happened. They are not stories. They are his story, that Bhagavan's story. These are the various leelas he did. So even the slightest amount we hear, very briefly, immediately takes us right to the proximity of Bhagavan himself. That story is now very briefly described in slokam number 11. Yaha jukopa vanam etya duranta krichrat durvasa saha ari vihitat ayuta agrabuk yaha shaka annasishtam upayujya yataha trilokim truptam amamsta salile vinimagna sangaha. Yaha naha jukopa vanam etya duranta krichrat durvasa saha Ari Vihitat Ayuta Agrabhuk Yaha Shaka Annasishtham Upayujya Yataha Trilokim Triptam Amamsa Salile Vinimagna Sangaha. Again, I'll take you word by word and then you will understand. The construction in Sanskrit is always different from the way we are taught in English language to construct a sentence, to construct a paragraph and all that. In Sanskrit language, the meaning is conveyed in a more precise and a concise manner and not necessarily in the order we are used to in our English language. So please understand that. Okay. Yaha naha jukopa. Yaha, whose, by whom? Naha, us, we, jukopa, protected. Under whose, by whom are we protected? So you will translate it that way. Or under whose protection, or who is protecting us? You can translate it that way also. Yaha, naha, jukopa. Under whose, by whose protection that we all have, we are all living. When naha vanam tya, when we went, arrived at the forest, vanam, forest, etya, when we entered, that's the arrived at, or when we went to, when we were, after arriving at the forest, duranta krichrate, duranta, dangerous, krichrate, great trouble, dangerous, great trouble descended upon us because Durvasa Muni had come along with Ayuta, with 10,000 disciples he has come. And he said, feed me lunch, I'll go take bath and come. And there was no food available in the midst of the forest. So the danger was perceived by Draupadi. That's beautifully given. Duranta. What can a Muni do? Because he can come and curse. And curse whom? Her husbands. Right? Out of anger, Durvasa will be capable of doing that. That's the danger she faced. And great difficulty with the Krichrate, the great difficulty was, where can she go and get the food items? Even to cook something, let alone for one or two, for 10,000 people. How is it possible? Akshaya Patram has lost his luster for that day. What will she do? That is why it was dangerous as well as great difficulty. That's a challenge Bhagavan threw to them. The same way he does to every bhakta. Challenge will be given. You hold on to the lotus feet, then the manifestation of the divine love will take place in such a way everybody can perceive that and perceive and learn from it and bask and bathe in it and become better people as a result. So Duranta Krichrate, Vanam Ete Duranta Krichrate, the great, difficult, dangerous, great difficulty came to us. At that time, Yaha Jukopa, who protected us, he is asking. Durvasa Taha, with Durvasa Muni, Ari, sent by our enemy. Ari means enemy. Sent by our enemy, Duryodhana, Vihitat, and this Muni ordered to us. Vihitat means ordered. And he had come with Ayuta, Durvasa Saha Ayuta, Durvasa Muni along with 10,000 disciples. Ayuta means 10,000. Okay. And Yaha goes to Durvasa. Yaha, this Muni is who is he? He is Agrabhuka. He is the one who revels in taking the very first offering of worship. When a dinner is given or a lunch is given, who do you serve first? You always serve the one who's most important, most exalted, most revered, most worshipful person, right? That is very important in a group. You cannot serve just everybody as the first one. You must serve or you can go with the eldest one, most accomplished one, scripturally accomplished one. People like that you have to go to. Okay? So here, Yaha Agrabhuka, this Durvasa Muni is always qualified and always book means is also enjoys. Being Agra means first, primary. The very primary service. That is what is used to. So tremendous ego is also involved. So that Durvasa Saha, Hari Vihitat, Ayuta, And the abhihitat, arihitat, you can take it that way. That is ordered by our enemy Duryodhana. He came along with Ayutha 10,000 disciples, and he is used to primary service, first service. Or you can say arihitat is sent by our enemy Durvasataha Ayutha Vihitat. Again you can repeat it. Combine it with both and say Durvasa Muni ordered that food be prepared and be ready. Okay? That's what happened. That time, Yaha Subjukopa, who protected us, is continuing. Saka Anna Sishtham Upayujya. Saka Anna Sishtham. A little bit of food that was remaining, remnant. Okay? Sishtham is very important. Means there's something remaining. What after you eat, what is left over? That's a little bit remaining. Upayujya. Accepting that. Bhagavan accepts anything given with love. Not only, various things that we make for Bhagavan, all the sweets and all that. Because Bhagavan is not a diabetic, we cannot give him sweets alone. Even if you give him even just a drop of water or a flower or even a leaf, it doesn't matter. Whatever is given with bhakti, very important. The bhakti is the one he looks for. Then he accepts it very happily, as he says in Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So, that is what he did. This one, Upayujya, he accepted it because Draupadi prayed to him with a heart pouring out with Anyata Sharanam Nasti, with nobody else to go to. You are my protector. So when she prayed and surrendered to him, Bhagavan manifests instantly. There is not even an iota, not even a chanam of time difference. So that's what happened here. So, Yataha, because of this Bhagavan accepting this remnant of food, Yataha, because of that, Triloki Triptam, all the three worlds means what? All the beings living in all the three worlds, Triptam, they became contented. They became satisfied. There was no hunger in all the three worlds. How can you eat without hunger? There was no hunger at all because Bhagavan, he takes that little bit of leaf that was remaining and may this satisfy all the three worlds, is what he says when he puts it in his mouth. So Trilokim Triptam, now, because that has happened, at that time, Vinimagna Sangaha, bathing, Vinimagna Sangaha Salile. Salile means water. Vinimagna Sangaha, to translate it crudely, it means bathing in. Bathing in the water, all the Durvasataha Ayuta, Amamstha, they all thought that they were completely satisfied. There was no more hunger. Yaha Jukopa, who protected us like this, is what Arjuna says. Yaha Naha Jukopa Vanam Yete Duranta Krichrate Durvasataha Aribihitate Ayuta Agrabuk Yaha Shaka Anna System Upayujya Yataha Trilokim Triptam Amamsta Salile Vinimagna Sangaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.